everyone for joining us for this panel. We're really excited to be here today. We're going to talk about AI and scaling AI and implementing it in the enterprise. And we have some really great panelists with us today. I'm Seth Dobrin. I'm the founder and CEO of Quantum AI, as well as a new incubator that we're setting up here in Saudi and the region, Silicon Sands. But first, why don't we start by letting the panelists introduce themselves real briefly, and then we'll get into the questions. Daniela?
I'm Daniela Braga, founder and CEO of Define AI. We are the largest marketplace of training data for generative AI, ethically sourced. We're out of Seattle, and we have been helping the largest builders of generative AI build their large foundational models.
Excellent.
I'm Jonathan Ross. I'm CEO and founder of GROQ, and GROQ doesn't make AI or models, but we make them go really fast.
My name is Michael Kratsios. I'm the managing director of Scale AI, which is an infrastructure AI company. I previously served as the chief technology officer of the United States at the White House and the undersecretary of defense at the Pentagon.
Hi everyone, I'm Lan Guan. I'm Accenture's Chief AI Officer. I'm responsible for Accenture's data and AI business, and our team, 40,000 data and AI practitioners globally, working with cross-industry clients to help them use AI to transform their business.
Hello everyone, and pleasure to be with you here today. And my name is Turki Badhris, and I'm the president of Microsoft Arabia.
Excellent, thank you all. So why don't we start by talking about generative AI and the impact of these really large pre-trained models, and that's the big differentiator between generative AI and traditional AI, and what this impact could be on the digital divide when we think about it globally, especially north and south of the equator. Why don't we start with Daniela?
Well, the biggest divide is that there's only really two countries making the largest investments in generative AI, which are the United States and China. That alone makes a huge divide, because these technologies are very expensive from a compute perspective, from a data perspective, from a talent perspective, and obviously certain countries and because of their size, because of their investments, are much more well-positioned than the rest of the world to do that. There's also a huge divide in what that means in terms of adoption. There's the adoption of the rest of the world, and even the adoption in general is going fast in a way from the consumer perspective, but going slow in terms of taking ownership of developing versions of these models to protect your own customer data. I will move on.
And Turki, you kind of sit in a unique position where you're responsible for a region that is very underrepresented in the development of these models, but you work for Microsoft, which is the biggest funder of OpenAI. How do you think about this, and how do you kind of work across both of those?
Well, thank you. I think this is a very important question, and I think we have a collective responsibility as an AI leaders to make sure that AI is used in a very responsible way, and our commitment to the kingdom is to advance, the AI innovation in a way that is responsible, trustworthy, and definitely beneficial to everyone. And I believe when we create those new technologies on OpenAI and AI, that will transform the world and change the way we live and work. We want to make sure that at the same time we earn the trust of organizations and individuals and citizens worldwide, and definitely in Saudi Arabia. The other point that I think it is really important is creating these kind of strong partnership with local authorities and regulators to make sure that we help them in establishing a forward-looking AI national policies. I think in Microsoft we established our responsible AI standard, that is publicly available for all organizations who wants really to unlock the full potential of AI.
And Michael, from your perspective, right? Scale has a very unique perspective on this problem. And how do you all look at this?
Yeah, for us, I think what we have realized over the course of the last year is that you can dramatically improve these models to make them culturally and language specific by some simple fine tuning. And if you think about the ability to have these models actually impact people, in the global south and in areas that are not necessarily been touched by at the moment, there's a tremendous opportunity to be very impactful, particularly in areas like education. And that's one that I think about a lot, in being able to allow children and people who want to learn around the world to be able to have their own personal tutor in their hand. And I think it's something that can easily be done with these pre-trained models with just a little bit of fine tuning. And it's something that Scale works on all the time.
And Lan, I think this is a really important place that I know Accenture has really been thinking about and working towards. You have a tremendous organization around the globe that works with customers in every part of the world. What are things that Accenture is doing in this area, and how do you work with your customers when you're helping them build these types of models, both locally and globally?
Yeah, sure, Seth. I think first and foremost, bridging the digital divide using AI, generative AI, is absolutely something that we care about a lot. And we also believe that the technology actually is there to help, bridge this kind of disparity, right, among different nations. And why do I say that? Because again, I think we need to understand how the foundation model work, right? In this case, it's not like every country, every business needs to be building their own, right, kind of foundation model. It's really focusing on democratization of AI, and so that global companies, regardless of size, they can actually take advantage of the application level of the horsepower of generative AI. So basically, this translates into three things that we do. One, we're basically focusing on building a lot of vertical industry applications to help the local business citizens to take advantage of Gen AI. For example, in banking industry, we build what we call the intelligent mortgage advisor, so that local banks, local credit agencies can quickly, pre-qualify consumer loans, just as an example, right? And we're also focusing on, in select geography, select market, select language domains, actually work with the large tech companies to build, language-specific or region-specific kind of large language models to kind of help bridge the gaps. Third thing is training, right? Upskilling, reskilling, and we just recently announced our Learn Advantage global services. Basically, it's us providing services to government organizations, companies, to help them upskill, reskill their employees. So these are the three things I will underscore.
Excellent. And then Jonathan, GROQ is a hardware company, right? Building very specialized hardware for AI. That can tend to limit who has access to these types of tools. How should we think about access to specialized hardware for less affluent parts of the world?
Well, to start off with, the difference between digital and generative. We're using the word digital, but we're a little bit trapped in the language. Digital is not generative. They're two very different concepts. Digital is about taking a copy of something, replicating it with high fidelity, and distributing it. The internet, mobile, but also the printing press. We've had digital technology for quite a while. And all of our intuition is broken down around generative AI because it's about generating an answer in the situation, in situ, and giving you something custom or specific. You could go into a library before and get access to all of the information. You can go on the internet and get access to all the information. When you do search, most of the effort in search is done in advance, so it doesn't make sense to do a lot of extra compute for one. You can't pay extra to get better search results. When it comes to generative AI, if you have more compute, you can get better answers. When we started GROQ, we did it because we wanted to preserve human agency in the age of AI. And the concern was that there would be the haves and the have-nots. And the goal is to drive the cost of compute as close to zero as we can. We'll never get there, but we want it to be like electricity from a socket. You plug something in, you get electricity out, it's not that big of a deal. If everyone doesn't have access to generative AI, then some people are going to have a huge advantage, and that's not going to be great.
And so if we think about, this question in the context of, executive implementation, so how do organizations implement this technology, right? We heard a lot about the responsible acquisition of data. We heard a lot about, how we need to partner with governments and think about how we, really think about, implementing this in a very, specialized, culturally sensitive way, how we need to provide education and training, and then, really making sure that we provide that, closeness to the source for this. What are some things in this context that executives need to think about when they're working with these organizations, and what should they listen for when their teams are coming to them and talking to them about, especially in global organizations, that are operating in the region, what are things that executives should listen for when someone's trying to sell them the use of this, inside their organization? And Lan, let me start with you, because you work with a global organization. You have a pretty decent presence here in the region. How would you coach an executive in the region, and what should you listen to for your team to know that this is worth investing in, or this is not worth investing in?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think we actually just hosted a number of workshops at Davos just about 2 months ago, and basically driving this kind of C-suite narratives with hundreds of board members and C-suite. And we basically focusing on, and this is what we're advising, every company, right, across different industry. You need to focus on 5 imperatives, right? Anybody who's coming to pitch to you, Gen AI application, you always need to ask these questions, right? What are the business case, right? Because Gen AI could get expensive very quickly, right? So you really need to have this, the business case kind of a perspective, so that you understand, okay, you're not just chasing silo use cases, you're actually using Gen AI to impact the entire value chain. Second one, what we always ask companies who come to talk to us, or even internal employees, is your data ready, right? Yes, we're talking about Gen AI, but data is actually your biggest competitive advantage, right? Your quality data is going to improve the efficacy of your prompts. And then third thing is about talent, right? How do you, as a C-suite, evolve, right, your training programs, your upskilling programs to, respond to this kind of, a changing characteristics of the workforce? We predict it's going to be 40% of the working hours globally will get impacted by Gen AI. Are you ready for that, right? I think the fourth one is basically responsible AI. Responsible AI timing is now, and we are talking to C-suite clients about how do you actually systematically, measure, mitigate, and also continuously monitor all this responsible AI bias and risk factors, so that adoption is going to get increased. So these are a couple of things that we always talk about, pretty consistent.
Great, so I want to double click on that a little bit too. So Daniela, Lan mentioned, quality data. How does, the ethically sourced, data that defined AI brings to the table intersect with quality data that people have internally? And again, what are the types of things that executives should listen for to know how they need to integrate those two things, and when they need to bring in external data from a company that's ethically sourcing it versus just scraping it off the internet?
Absolutely. I mean, the biggest question and the biggest advice we always give is whether you're building your generative AI model or you're using someone else's open source or paid for, what data was it built on? Was the data paid for? Was the data consented? Was the data anonymized? Are you using customer data, and are you following all the due diligence of making sure that customers read the terms? Are you using, definitely never using scraped data? Are you following copyrights? Are you not infringing copyrights? How is the data being curated to your point, Seth, of quality? Because there's the layer of raw data that needs to be structured. There's always a human in the loop component to it. Are you using, is this data being using digital sweatshops in, without taking account into of the salaries and wages and even certain conditions that these people are on. So these are companies that care about their brand reputation, that want to be in the forefront of leading the way. Everybody needs to have this into account.
And Turki, do you have anything to add to that? And then also, if you could build on another point that Lan made about the training, because you all just made, Microsoft about a year ago, right, just made an announcement about the huge investment you're making in Saudi and the region, not just in a data center, but in human capital that you're putting into the region.
Well, I second my colleagues here, and I think just three things, and as advices, to executives. One definitely is making sure that they understand their business objectives. What do they want to achieve? Technology is there. AI is another technology that is advancing and accelerating the digital transformation. The second thing, making sure that we advance the competencies and capabilities of their teams. And the third thing definitely is the responsible and ethical use of AI. When it comes to skilling, I think with the rapid evolution that we see in cloud and AI today, I think all employees and professionals across all sectors need really to build their digital aptitude to make sure that they are ahead of the skilling gap that we see today in emerging technology. And on the other aspect, I think with AI, there will be new jobs created in the market, and those jobs will definitely need different set of skills. And I think this is where our let's say responsibility comes, to make sure that we empower the present workforce and the future innovator or generation to make sure that they are equipped with the right digital and AI skills. As part of our global skilling initiatives, we have helped more than 100,000 professionals in Saudi Arabia with the right skills. We also have another program called Women Power Program, where we are trying to empower and equip the female workforce in Saudi Arabia with the right digital skills.
And Jonathan, when you think about specialized hardware, how do companies know? I guess first of all, does everyone need specialized hardware? Is it only for the big boys and girls? How do you know if you need an organization like GROQ to come in and help you? Like, when do you need GROQ? When don't you need GROQ?
Well, typically you talk about specialized hardware as hardware that's designed specifically for some software task. No one here is thinking about what specialized hardware you need or what hardware is under the hood. All you really care about is, do you get a special experience? It has to be something that's visceral, that you feel, that you experience, that's different. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to stand out in AI. And so we make models run very quickly. The other thing is, people need more compute, period. The amount of demand right now for AI compute is through the roof. We hear stories all the time about lack of availability. And what we did was we built a chip that was much easier to scale. It doesn't use HBM. It looks like you have a follow-on, or doesn't use HBM.
Yeah, so I guess more from the perspective of, if someone comes to me and says, as an executive, we need to go buy specialized hardware, we need compute, how do I know if they're full of it?
I would go 5 whys deep, just like anything else you want to figure out. Why do I need this? Okay, you're saying it's because I need speed. Why do I need speed? Because user engagement depends on speed. Okay, but are you offering enough speed? Okay, I see that you're offering enough speed because every 100 milliseconds has and you just keep going deeper and deeper. And if people can keep answering your questions, that's usually a good indication. But we don't actually sell the hardware directly to people. We actually have a service. So we take the best open source models, some proprietary models from companies that are collaborating with us, and we make them available, and you can call our API like you would any other API.
Great, and that gets into kind of the next question, Michael. And if you think about, using open source model versus, closed source model versus pre-trained model versus training your own versus fine tuning, running on specialized hardware, commodity hardware. How should organizations navigate this? And how do they make a decision versus, about, scale focuses really on fine-tuning models? And, how do people, companies, and executives understand when they should kind of make these various decisions about this?
Yeah, I think every company is different, every enterprise is different, every government is different, and my prediction kind of for where the future is going is that it's going to be a true ecosystem where there will be lots of customers for the state-of-the-art closed source models, and there will be lots of customers for some of the open source models themselves. And I think based on sort of what your use case is and sort of what your security interests are, how much do you want to be able to modify and fine-tune the model yourself and have total control over it? To what extent do you not really care about that, and all you care about is necessarily speed, or all you care about is just being able to hit an API and the problem is solved, you don't have to worry about it. So I think where we're going is that most CIOs or CTOs that are thinking about sort of where to go, they're going to be thinking in their head sort of what is the ultimate use case, what am I trying to accomplish, what is my security profile, and then from there they'll be able to kind of choose a model. And I'm sure Accenture into all this, and anyone who's kind of working into this space knows that every customer is different, and every vendor that's trying to help these customers should be able to work with all the different model options.
Yeah, I mean, Michael just pitched it to Lan, so Lan, what do you think?
Yes. No, I think this is a great question, right? In fact, I think the best part of what Accenture offer is actually this kind of what we call the AI continuum, right? There's no one size fits all, as Michael mentioned. There are a lot of the medium business, right? They can start actually just using AI out of the box, right? Like from Salesforce, Einstein GPT, from your SAP enterprise stack, right? Joule kind of application, so take advantage of that. But then there also are a lot of business want to invest in capabilities to do effective prompt engineering. So again, you're using the closed model, but then you focus on your data, right? Quality of your data so that you can do in-context learning very, very effectively, right? We're helping, 800 companies so far, right? Actually do a lot of this jump start of their Gen AI journey. And then as Michael mentioned, some companies, right, because of the cost consideration, because of the language consideration, because of the model accuracy consideration, right? They may want to shift to the right-hand side to say, okay, now I actually want to take an open source model, right? Or work with a partner like Scale, right, to provide fine-tuning services so that we can train, domain-specific model for language needs, for cost performance reasons. A lot of this business leaders actually care about. So I think my single advice is there's no one size fits all. You really need to focus on your strategic objectives and don't treat this as a technology. Treat this as an enterprise reinvention kind of an imperative. Hopefully that addressed some of your questions.
Yep, that was good. And hope everyone was able to hear most of what Lan said. So Turki, Microsoft works with a whole lot of companies across the space. Obviously, like I said before, you're a huge investor in OpenAI, but you also have a whole lot of other, generative AI and foundation models and a whole lot of other AI systems available. What is the type of advice that Microsoft gives to their customers in terms of how do you know when to use what? How do you provide access to the right tools? And from a Microsoft perspective, right, how do you manage cost?
Well, I just make it easy for them. Just go with Microsoft and Accenture and your problem will be solved. Well, I think what is really important is that we make sure that we give the access to the AI, platforms and generative AI platforms to students, developer, organization, to make sure to empower them and enable them to build their own, advanced AI models and application. I want to just give an example of a great organization in Saudi Arabia, which is Saudi Airlines, where they used, Azure OpenAI, services to build their application, which is Saudia, which is an AI companion for you as a traveler to enhance your experience in traveling. I think this is really important, and I just want to re-emphasize again on something really important. It is the ecosystem. It is not only Microsoft. So I think there is a lot on us really to make sure that we enhance the capability and advance the capabilities of the local partners, the regional partners, and global partners, because those partners own their IPs on Microsoft and other companies. So we want to make sure that we enable them, we open the doors for them to come and make sure that they unlock the full potential of AI platforms to our customers. As of this, I think in the last 3 days, we launched a big program in collaboration with Ministry of Investment, where it is all about Alliance to Innovate, where we are attracting more than 100 global and regional partners to come and see the potential and operate in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And I think that also definitely will help our customer to make the right decisions.
And Daniela, do you have any thoughts on this?
Well, we continue to be harping on the data angle. A lot of people see the surface of the applications, and we see in the United States how many litigations are happening right now for example, against New York Times against OpenAI, Getty Images against Stable Diffusion. I think a lot of it's starting to become very obvious that the companies and the governments need to do a very deep due diligence around what's inside the models and how are these models being built, and test properly against biases, against what kind of workforce is behind the scenes.
Excellent. And so we have about 10 minutes left, and if you could each take 2 minutes to kind of have any closing thoughts and anything else you want to say, and why don't we start down on the end with Turkey and work our way back?
Well, sure. I think it's the time to be in Saudi Arabia. Everyone so leap. And I think Saudi holds a great potential for everyone to come and invest in Saudi Arabia. I think as Microsoft in Saudi Arabia, we are committed to the government, to the all organization across, all sectors to really unlock the potential and make sure that we are advancing them in their digital transformation journey.
Okay, I think from Accenture perspective, we're an AI leader, right, globally. And this is my first time coming to Saudi Arabia. I'm based out of the New York City office. So far I've been blown away by the amount of opportunities and the quality of the talents, the energy, everything here. So I think just the last 3 days definitely help reinforce a lot of belief that we have, right, within Accenture to help companies accelerate their AI journey. I think, again, like I mentioned before, right, really focusing on enterprise reinvention. Don't just, focus on the single POC, right? We always talk about last year was a year of experimentation. Year 2024, for you to realize those promised benefits of Gen AI, you really need to focus on, scaling, right? Productionizing a lot of these use cases, working with different partners on the stage here. And I think at the same time, just this, for those companies who haven't even started, it's never too late, right? Start preconditioning your systems with quality data, right? Thinking about this technology as a full ecosystem. And I think that those are the 2 key advice that I want to leave with everyone with. And I always talk about the first 50 years, we believe, first 50 years of AI is all about building faster, cheaper, hopefully cheaper, right, better calculator. But now we are actually on the cusp of AI explosion, AI revolution, is we really need to focus on building more intelligent brain, right, better brain for the society. Thank you.
The only thing I would add is as we have progressed now into 2024, we all need to realize we are still very, very early in the AI journey. We've just only begun. ChatGPT came out less than a year and a half ago. So I think we're in the first inning of a very long game here. And to me, coming from a scale perspective, just to piggyback a little bit on what you were saying, there can be nothing more important than the data that you have within your companies, and that's ultimately going to be the fuel for these large language models. So take care of that, build it, work on it, improve it, and ultimately you'll be able to have some incredible models in the years ahead. And it's certainly an exciting place to be building these.
So I used earlier an analogy with the printing press and the, hearing a noise. Yeah. Is that,
I don't know.
I'll just keep going.
Keep going
So
until they tell us to stop.
I used an analogy with the printing press and the internet and mobile, and those were very distinct stages. However, right now we're in the phase that's equivalent to the printing press. By the end of this year, you're going to start seeing advancements. It's going to move much more quickly than it did with the printing press, the internet, and mobile. Right now, if you think about it, when you use one of these large language models, it's almost well, it's unbelievably good because it sends out this stream of text and it's almost perfect without having access to a backspace or a delete key. A human being would be unable to do that. I don't think we fully internalized just how good these models are. And by the end of this year, I think we're going to have a handle on hallucinations, and I think we're going to have a handle on a lot of these other things. And AI is going to be much more powerful and capable than we thought at the beginning.
I'm going to be brief because, oh, can you hear me? I'm going to be brief because I know. It's very encouraging to come to Saudi Arabia and see generative AI being built here. I have to say I wasn't expecting it. I've been really hoping that this digital divide that Seth and we all spoke in the beginning was not just between the US and China. It's happening here. It's happening in other pockets in the UK, in Europe. And this is very exciting for the innovation of the world. The more competitive we are, the better. The more innovation comes.
Yeah, so I think this was a great conversation. I want to say this was the most concise panel I've ever participated in. You guys were great. You know, I think the topic of the panel was executive transformation, and it's really important when we're in a region like Saudi that we talk about the digital divide, that we talk about inclusivity, and we call out this issue around a lack of inclusivity in the development of these models. And so I think this was a great conversation. I really appreciate you all talking about this. And I think the fact that we have some of these, the CEOs of some of these great companies, as well as leaders of some other great companies here in the region for an organization, a conference like LEAP this year is a testament to the amount of effort and investment that Saudi and the kingdom is putting into this space, into technology in general. So I can't wait to see what happens next year when we're back, how much this grows. And we'll see you all back here next year, and hopefully the Azure data center will be up and running next year.
Hopefully.
Thank you all.
Thank you.